Hey, how you doing? This is Adam Post, publisher of more than 1,000 comic books and marketing expert covering Bud Light. Anheuser-Busch's former president of distribution, Anson Frericks, is again calling for CEO of Anheuser-Busch, Brendan Whitworth, to leave the company. He's saying the CEO should not be laying people off. He should be laying himself off, and that would help the company more than just getting rid of a few hundred people. Let's get into the story. Before we do, please be sure you are subscribed to the channel. Click the bell for notifications. Give me a thumbs up. I really appreciate you guys. I'm trying to get to 30,000 subscribers, so if you can subscribe, please do subscribe. Coming from Fox Business, former Anheuser-Busch executive says layoffs should have included the CEO. There's no future at this company. Bud Light layoffs include corporate marketing roles at U.S. offices. Instead of laying off hundreds of rank-and-file employees, a former Anheuser-Busch executive argued the brewer would have been smarter to let go of just one person. Quote, "My feeling is they would have been set up for more success if they just actually laid off one person, which is their CEO," Anson Frericks, Anheuser-Busch's previous president of distribution, said Friday on Varney Co. Quote, "They said they're trying to set this business up for future long-term success, but there's no future at this company with the current CEO in place," he added. "The CEO is accountable for the results of the organization, and the results of the last 4 months have been terrible." Anson Frericks is a fascinating guy. He was with Anheuser-Busch for more than 10 years. He most recently was their president of distribution, so I like to follow him because he's constantly commenting from his experience as an executive, but also his experience within Anheuser-Busch about what the Bud Light brand is all about and about what they should be doing as opposed to what they're actually doing, because what they're actually doing makes no sense to any of us in marketing or any of us with a business background. Anson Frericks was actually promoted twice by Brendan Whitworth in the past, so it's incredible to see all of this play out between these two people. After a controversial partnership with transgender influencer Dylan Mulvaney resulted in months of Bud Light slumping sales, Anheuser-Busch InBev announced that it laid off hundreds of workers, and the number of workers looks to be anywhere between 360 to 400 people, and supposedly they're in Los Angeles, St. Louis, as well as New York, and it's administrative and marketing related people. Brendan Whitworth, CEO of Anheuser-Busch, the world's largest brewer, on Wednesday said the company did not make the decision to reduce staff lightly, but was prioritizing its future long-term success, the Wall Street Journal reported. Quote, "You still have sales down 30% on their top brands. Billions of dollars of shareholder value have been destroyed, and it's all due to the decisions made by the top leaders of the company," Frericks criticized. Whitworth clarified the layoffs included corporate and marketing roles at U.S. offices in St. Louis, New York, and Los Angeles. It did not impact brewery and warehouse staff, the company also said. But that is the terrifying thing about this, is that it's probably going to affect a lot more employees who actually are involved in producing and distributing the beer. Anheuser-Busch has 19,000 employees. For them to get rid of a few hundred of them is a terrible thing, but realistically, their sales are down at least 30%, probably much more than that, but at least 30%. If they don't have the same demand for their product they used to have, which they absolutely do not, they're going to have to lay those people off. And it looks like it's going to be sometime in September or October after they get the reports in on their new orders, when their customers, the 500 or so independent distributors, evaluate the sales from the prior sales period, which includes this summer and the whole Dylan Mulvaney period. They can't keep those people employed if they don't have orders for the beer. Frericks expanded on why the job cuts should have started at the top of the company. Quote, "Every single CEO, they have a fiduciary obligation to their shareholders, not to these stakeholders in the organization that are pushing different agendas, activist agendas, political agendas," the former executive explained. "If you're the CEO of a company, you're the one who's accountable for the results at the end of the day." When he settled into the company after joining in 2011, Frericks claimed he started seeing this shift away from fiscal priorities to political ones. Quote, "By the time I left the organization, we started releasing 2 annual reports. One was for shareholders, which we talked about what the company was actually doing, its financials, But there was a second 105-page report that was an ESG report that the company was releasing that was talking about DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, talking about ESG, talking to these progressive things that frankly did not deliver to the bottom line, he pointed out. Frericks expressed that he remains shocked that Anheuser-Busch hasn't properly addressed or fixed the slump in sales and warned of more pain to come. Quote, they have their shareholder call next week where they're going to have to be accountable to shareholders. I think there are going to be a lot of tough questions where you're going to have folks asking what the plan is to turn things around, he said. And it doesn't look like they're turning things around. This article comes from the New York Post. Bud Light's sagging sales becoming business as usual following the Dylan Mulvaney fiasco. Beer Business Daily publisher Harry Schumacher said the industry is shocked that Bud Light sales haven't bounced back from its disastrous promo celebrating transgender influencer Dylan Mulvaney's 365 Days of Girlhood, but the sagging sales are beginning to look like business as usual. Schumacher said things are actually getting a little bit worse and cited recent Nielsen sales data that indicated Bud Light's volumes were down 31% for the week going into Father's Day weekend. At the same time, Miller Lite and Coors Light were both up. Quote, the trends have remained almost the same since about mid-May. Now it's almost like business as usual, Schumacher told Fox News Digital. It surprised a lot of people, even their competitors, who are really struggling to keep up the supply of the beer, he said. It's not like flipping a switch. So their competitors are getting so much business because people will not buy Bud Light anywhere near to the quantity they used to buy it. The competitors are struggling to keep up with producing enough beer just to satisfy customers. But they have been satisfying their customers, and their sales are going up, as Bud Light and the rest of Anheuser-Busch sales continue to go down. Bud Light sales have plummeted since the beer maker gifted Mulvaney a special can in April to celebrate Mulvaney's full year of girlhood, which the influencer quickly claimed was Mulvaney's most prized possession on Instagram with a post that featured hashtag Bud Light Partner. A second video then featured Mulvaney in a bathtub drinking a Bud Light beer as part of the campaign, and the company has been mocked and boycotted ever since. Schumacher noted that Anheuser-Busch has taken several steps to alleviate the backlash, such as heavy discounting of the beer and offering rebates that make Bud Light basically free to consumers in some markets. The beer maker has also taken steps to help distributors, increased its marketing budget, launched a new summer ad campaign, and dispatched CEO Brendan Whitworth to appear on CBS Mornings to provide clarity on the now infamous debacle. Whitworth raised eyebrows when he declined to provide a clear answer when asked if he would send Mulvaney the can again. Schumacher is among the viewers who weren't particularly impressed with the Anheuser-Busch CEO. Quote, I think he skirted around a lot of the tough questions, the main one being, would you do this Mulvaney promotion again? And he wouldn't answer yes or no. He kind of danced around it, Schumacher said. Quote, I see that's the issue there. But I mean, they're down 30%. I think the answer is no, you wouldn't do it again, he continued. Without throwing any shade to the trans community, I just think that from a business perspective, it wasn't a great idea, clearly. Schumacher believes Whitworth essentially doubled down on previous Anheuser-Busch talking points about beer not being divisive and how it should bring people together, which didn't go over well during the early weeks of the controversy. Quote, he got really hounded for that narrative, but he repeated it. So I think they're just going with the message and hoping to move on, Schumacher said. Schumacher has also noticed that Bud Light and Anheuser-Busch get cruelly ratioed on social media whenever the company posts anything. Critics frequently respond with disparaging comments, mocking the company with an onslaught of jokes and memes, often directly targeting the pact with Mulvaney. Quote, everything they post just gets slammed by consumers, and I think their strategy now is just to keep posting, just keep moving on, he said. And at some point, maybe people will get tired of posting memes and making fun of the brewery, and I think that's their strategy for now. Outkick founder Clay Travis recently shared that he was sitting at a bar over the weekend when a man sitting next to him ordered a Coors Light. The bartender informed the customer that Coors Light were out of stock, so Travis joked, give him a Bud Light instead. Travis said the bartender and customer both burst into laughter, offering a glimpse of the polarizing reputation Bud Light quickly developed following the promotion with Mulvaney. Quote, I think the reputation that they've gotten is going to be hard to shake, Schumacher said. Having said that, I do think that there's a chance, maybe a small chance, but a chance that you could beat a dead horse to death. And maybe at this time next year, Bud Light might be cool to drink again because it's so out there, Schumacher said. I could see a younger crowd thinking that that's the cool beer to drink because their dads and granddads don't want to drink it. It's kind of a Hail Mary, but you never know. In the meantime, sales are actually so bad for Bud Light that 2 glass plants had to close. But that's not all. Of course, unfortunately, they lost 645 employees because they had to shut down the plants that were providing glass bottles to Anheuser-Busch for Bud Light. The beer controversy exacerbates a 16% reduction in RDoG's, that's the name of the vendor who sold the beer bottles to Bud Light, North American glass shipments. Quote, shipments in the quarter were sharply impacted by the controversy related to a major beer brand. Chairman Paul Coulson detailed during RDoG Group's second quarter earnings call. So the reduction in business from Bud Light was so bad, it knocked the vendor's entire sales for North America off by 16%. That's how bad the Bud Light controversy is. And at this point, it's not really a controversy for Bud Light. It's an absolute and total disaster. Let me know what you think of all this in the comments below. Always love to see your ideas. Please be sure you are subscribed to the channel. Click the bell for notifications. Give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you again soon with another video. And if I don't see you, I will miss you.